Hi, I'm Raina.
Hi, I'm Edwidge of Saving Her Elegance.
As part of our 100 Women You Should Know campaign, we have a dynamic candidate, Miss Martha White. She's 103 years old, definitely someone you want to see.
And the best part about it, we got to interview her. So stay tuned and hear what she has to say.
I was born Martha Bryant to a couple, Crit Bryant and Mary Lacey. Those are my parents. July the 9th, 1914. Life wasn't so pleasant, like I say. It was white and black. White kids live one side of town, blacks mostly, but on the other side. I had to walk to school. The officials of the school were white. Like I said, we had a white superintendent. Books were rationed. We didn't get the fresh editions. We got what was left after the white kids had used them. So most of our books have two sets of names in it, the white kids and the black kids' names. Things, as they went along, got a little better. They finished elementary school, but didn't have any high school. So finally, they did get high school. And this what came about. We had better everything. They even had economics, school teachers that had different manuals that we taught. We had typing and shorthand and all that. And had a way of learning because they had teachers coming in from different places. They could relate to the kids that they were teaching. So it got to be better. Most kids from under 33 didn't finish high school. They didn't get to enjoy high school. They only had elementary. And then when you got your papers from elementary, you could go to Indiana and go to high school. And most of the young teachers graduated from Indiana, had high school from Indiana. But then in the year 1933, we had 4 years high school. And that's when the class of 1933 came about. So then they started giving everybody that graduated a diploma. And I didn't get to get my diploma, but we had written diploma with the officials of the school and the year of graduation and all that. So that's a treasure. I still have that. But like I said, I wasn't informed about all this. And my house been torn apart for years. Ever since I've been here in this nursing home, they bombed out my house 2 or 3 times. And there's been confusion about the name, because my name is not White. My name is Bryant. I was born Martha Bryant. And my parents were black, and they were Bryants, Bryant and Lacey.
Why high school was so important to you? You were the first.
Because they weren't giving you any diploma. They just give you a little piece of paper when you finished grade school, just like you had passed the examination, your name was on there if you had graded, and that's all you had. But this is a self-bound, leather-like diploma from high school. Well, I didn't really want to go to college because my parents were old and there was not money. My father died and left my mom. She was kind of ill. No one to take care of her. So I took care of my mom. And my ambition was to see her happy, to make a house for her. I kept house and tended to my mom for years. My brother took over the household because Dad was getting too old to work. And that was hard for him. But he managed, and we always had a roof over our head. We always had plenty to eat and clothes to wear. And he bought my graduation outfit, bought my class ring, my brother. He was Uncle Lacy to the kids that came along because there was no children. Nyla was the firstborn in the family. So we always revered her as being the oldest child. So after she grew up, she had a sister, Wanda, was born in the family. No boys, just 2 girls. To my second oldest sister.
You always dress so pretty, and the name of our organization is called Saving Her Elegance, and you always had advice for us young women at the church. What kind of advice would you give the young women today?
To first seek ye the kingdom of heaven, his righteousness, and all other things will be added, because they go after the glamour first, and there's always something behind that that's not a good end. Like the girl that's my aide that gave me the shower today. She was my first aide. And I told her that first same thing. She was 35 years old and still hadn't finished school. And she didn't want to go back. I told her, as Kiana, she brought me up today. I don't know where she is. She should be here. She should have been here. She should have brought me here. But I told her, I said, don't you stop now. You can still go back to school. She said, no, I'm too old. I said, no, you're not too old. You go back. And she was 35 years old. But she went back, and now she's something in this nursing business. I don't know if she's head or what, but she's one of the top nurse aides. She gave me a shower this morning, combed at my hair, whatever is done, dressed me. She's my aide for today.
But you let her know how important it was to go back to school. And
Yes.
That's your advice for young women today, to stay
Yes,
in school
it's
and get
to
educated.
stay in school. It's just, yes. Get something that you can depend on. Don't let glitz, glamour, and don't let the little boys fool you. Because they have minds of their own, and their agenda's not yours. If you got something of your own, you can do for yourself, especially insurance, because I've had a hard time thinking about that. The only job I really had that wasn't, a 9 to 5 was in Kentucky when I worked at the restaurant. And my first Social Security card came from there. But when I came to Michigan, and things were different. When Nyla finished college, she got into the business world and found out things could happen to people, and government would step in. So then traced this person that had, what I said, ruined my life, taken over my life, because we didn't get married, but he didn't want anybody else to marry me, but we didn't get married. And people there was nothing but coal miners. But anyway, when he got out there, he was in service when the war broke out. And then we had wartime. All these...
Which war was that? Which war was that he was in?
World War I.
World War I, wow.
Yes. All the young men that were in the mines were soldiers. When they came back, they didn't want that life anymore. They got a taste of life outside of coal mining.
You've seen a lot of presidents in
Yeah,
your 103 years.
And they were Republicans.
Which one would you think was the best president that you had in your 103 years?
Our first president I voted for, Roosevelt, was Democrat.
Roosevelt.
And I've always voted Democrat.
Okay. Which one do you think was the best president out of all the presidents that you had?
Carter.
President Carter, okay.
As I grew up with President Carter, I liked his attitude. He wasn't so high-minded. He was down to earth, and we are earth people. And he was with the poor and the needy. That's what he was there for, fighting for our welfare, not the rich, taking from the poor and making the rich richer. No, in my idea, he was a people's president. I'm 103 years old.
And what has life taught you? Based on all your experiences, what have you learned about life?
Well, not to be selfish, but don't give too much of yourself that you don't have anything left for yourself. I spent all my hard-earned money trying to help my oldest relative. We all did, all the family. Wanted Nyla to get an education. She's the first one who went to college, and we wanted her to succeed. Then when she got to the position where she could give some advice and help the family, wasn't too long before then that didn't last. Sickness came in the family, we were destroyed. I've had a lot of talk about my life because some of it wasn't too pleasant. Like I say, I got kind of influenced by this person that has led my life astray. I say astray because if I can't have you, nobody else can. There was a lot of disgrace and a lot of things said, even have followed me here, because we've had some scandalous things said here. All the young ladies were having babies and this, that, the other. Every schoolmate, every young lady was pregnant, but I wasn't. Why, if you don't want nobody to, well, why don't they have children? We never had any children. And there was a disgrace about sexual life with him. That was disgraceful in my life. And it has followed me to this very day. But that's another chapter altogether.
Well, I think one chapter that is important that I've learned a little bit about you is that there are a lot of other children and young women who have looked up to you, that you set a standard and you set an example of how a woman should carry herself. So you have been a mother to so many other people.
Yes. When I got into church, then that was a good example, because even with women in church, it's all that church. It's pastors and disgraces and slander and all that. But I never lived that way. I always tried to live a Christian life because I was taught by Christian parents. My parents were what they call sanctified and satisfied. And I knew a right from wrong, and I was taught that. And that's what I believed in. But some of the young just don't believe that they. And like I said, with life changing and the war brought on lots of more monies. And money is the root of all evil if you just let it be. If you love it enough, you'll do anything for it. And that was a draw. So that led a lot of ladies to destruction.
If you could talk to all the young ladies right now in the world, what would you tell them?
Well, take it easy, take it slow. Like I said, have time to grow, because they miss a lot of life trying to find the first fast life. Glitz and glamour changes a person's mind. Like I said, when they see other girls have all this different stuff, they want it too. And however they got it, well, they follow that example. Well, I was called old-fashioned. When dresses was sky high, mine was knee low. My mom dressed us different, and you could tell the difference. We didn't have all that. Even now, after I got away from Kentucky and got to Michigan, some of the stuff in my life changed because I could see the difference in how people lived and what they could have and all this. So things got better for me. You know what has come to me, and sometimes things come to me. I used to say, and Jesus wept. And why did he have to weep? One night I had a dream of different things that happened in my life. I said, now I see why Jesus wept. He come to his own and his own refused him. And something happened here. And that made me think about it. I said, well, yeah, and now I have wept. I said, but I guess I'm gonna have to weep. I cry, but I don't weep.
Yes.
But I've almost come to weeping. And Isla's been my inspiration because she took over the guardian-like ship for me. And she found out when the president issued some kind of proclamation about women that had spent time with men not being married. What does he call it? What you call?
The proclamation when women had spent time with men and they had
Common law.
common law.
Oh, yes, yes.
And that's when we found Robin, because we didn't know where he was. The government found Robin, and then he's been back in my life for more misery.
Show us where you are.
That's Martha Lou.
All right.
This is awesome.
Or more. Cassie Mae Smith. Cassie Mae.
Oh, so you remember all of your classmates?
No, these are girls from school. My schoolmates.
Mother White,
Yes.
do you know, are any of those people still your friends? Do you keep in contact with them?
No.
No,
They all moved away.
they all moved away.
Jenny Shanklin, Old Ray's mother. I think they moved to Evansville. Cassie Mae's mother died there at Earlton. Nathaniel Scott went to Indiana, I think, Indianapolis. Nathaniel.
What's the value of your relationship with your aunt?
Oh, it's pretty valuable because when I came here from Kentucky, that was the very first time I'd ever been away from home. And you can't imagine what that's like. If you grow up in a town where there's only 1,500 people, and you go to a school where the auditorium has 1,000, you wonder, all the people here? So I really had to get used to living in the big city when it was very different. But by me being pretty quiet and very observant, I was able to do pretty good for myself. But, you know, without the shelter and food and support that you would get from your parents, you know, you wouldn't really make it, you know, because pretty soon it gets kind of tough and you kind of drop out. But I never did have the intention of dropping out, never. If I had to describe her to anybody, I would say she's pretty resilient. I don't know of many people who are 103 that can remember as much about their past life as she does. And the other thing is she always looked nice, presented herself very well. And that's a really valuable thing to learn. But the work ethic, working, sticking to it, finishing what you start, those are the kinds of things that I learned from her.
What does saving her elegance mean to you?
Are you calling me elegant?
We definitely think you're elegant. Yes. Yes. We want to know, when we say saving her elegance, what does that mean to you? Saving her elegance.
That I didn't give up the old-fashioned ways to be glamorous, that I held on to my beliefs, and my hope was built on Jesus Christ, nothing but his blood and righteousness, and I tried to do right, and still do to this day. And if that makes me elegant, well, glory be. Saving her elegance.
Saving her